Okay, so my name is Frances and I am the coordinator for the Domestic and Sexual Abuse Helpline for Northern Ireland. I want to thank Carrie personally for inviting me to speak today and to be the voice for the male callers that we deal with. Looking around the room this morning, it is absolutely fantastic to see so many people that have already made a difference in the lives of male victims and others that can be champions in this vital area. So, I'm not even going to do that. Let's talk statistics. Approximately 15% of the calls to our helpline in 21-22 were male. We've had 140 male callers in the last 2 months. Each one of them has an individual story and an account that is unique to them. However, one of the key themes that ran through each of these calls was fear. Fear of not being believed, fear of being perceived as less than, and fear of how they can return to normal life. It's the first thing that our helpline operators must address to debunk in order to truly help and support our male callers with the situation that they're living in. Now, I'm going to go a little off track because I rewrote most of my speech yesterday. I want to talk to you about Ryan. So, to provide a little bit of context, Ryan is a young man and myself and my colleague Julie met on Wednesday at Hydebank. The helpline is installed in Hydebank for use of any male victim. Ryan was influential this week in the plan's activities for Men's Health Week and highlighting the needs of conversations with men, and he has really become a mentor for the other inmates. During our visit on Wednesday, Ryan clearly articulated, and I'll quote him, "Statistics don't tell you who we are. They don't tell our stories." And he was right. Each member of that men's group had their own personal story. Many had witnessed abuse, many had it perpetrated against them. One man showed me scars where his girlfriend had actually stabbed him. I went home and I cried. These young men were adamant that no one will listen to us. And again, to quote, "They'll not listen to our voice, sure we're just scumbags." But they aren't. They're victims. They have endured trauma, abuse, domestic violence from an early age. And it is imperative for them to know that their voices will be listened to and their experiences deserve to be validated. It is clear that they have all experienced barriers and difficulties in being heard, and now they are where they are. I would like to take this opportunity to let each of them know that we're listening to them and we've got their voices today, and I'd ask you all to give them a round of applause. So, moving back to the helpline. Our male callers' presentations, both domestic and sexual abuse, callers include, but they're not limited to, sexual assaults, coercive control, physical abuse and stalking. Coercive control and sexual abuse being armed disclosures. When we look beyond even Northern Ireland, we'll give you some context. Between 2018 to 2020, 86 out of 362 domestic homicide cases in the UK involved male victims. Furthermore, according to CSEW, 526,000 men were victims of stalking, and that is aged 16 to 74. 1 in 3 men are victims of abuse. So why are the calls to our helpline so low? Barriers. One of our male callers summoned the strength and the courage to face their fears. They reported a number of barriers which have prevented them reporting or disclosing their abuse. Commonly, feelings of guilt and shame also prevent disclosure. Other barriers that our male victims have shared with us, and they include minimising their experience, often not recognising their experiences as abuse and not identifying as a victim, which in turn leads to underreporting. This underreporting then further diminishes society's understanding and perceptions of male victims. Pressure to fill society's male stereotype as the protector, provider, which are ingrained in males from childhood. Phrases like "be a big boys don't cry," etc. give life to toxic masculinity. Men grow up thinking that it's wrong to show emotion or admit any form of weakness. Therefore, in situations where you have strong alpha male characteristics and your perpetrator is a slim-built woman, that male victim becomes under immense emotional turmoil to fight against the norm to disclose and receive the help that they deserve. When it comes to domestic violence, males frequently report that they don't think help is even available to them. And this thinking is reinforced by the way society portrays domestic violence as a gender-based crime. For example, when you Google domestic abuse, you're presented with a list of support agencies for females and images of female victims. And yes, it must be recognised that most people that disclose and report domestic abuse identify as female, therefore these support agencies are still providing valuable services. However, but failing to present domestic abuse from a gender-neutral perspective, aligning a gender association with domestic abuse, male victims and others who do not identify as female are less likely to recognise that support is available for them. The Male Survivors Partnership has found that through their research that it can take a male survivor of sexual abuse 31 years on average to disclose. We recently had a call from a male who was disclosing abuse for the first time in 60 years. He still questioned, what could I have done to stop these events of my childhood? Many of our callers' presentations are for being an adult survivor of childhood sexual abuse. By the time they reach out for the support, they have all unresolved trauma that tends to lead to develop unhealthy coping techniques. We find alcohol and drug misuse to be high, and separation from children and family, isolation and mental health problems. Access to support services within Northern Ireland, especially present due to the repercussions of COVID, is extremely limited, resulting in lengthy waiting lists and meaning people are coping on their own for longer. Our male callers state that there is limited male-specific programmes or awareness for where to reach help. Our male callers feel failed by inadequate resources. Over my time working with victims and survivors, I have been asked many questions, one of which, do you work with perpetrators? This comes only after knowing I work with male victims. It is very rarely that if you solely work with females that you're ever asked that question. Further evidence of society's perception of males as perpetrators rather than victims. So what can we do? In closing my presentation, I would like to call upon you all to consider what can you do to support real societal change. Firstly, consider the stereotypes you hold of domestic and sexual abuse. If they align with gender bias, challenge yourself to think more broadly. Secondly, educate yourselves on the signs of domestic and sexual abuse so that you can sensitively and safely offer support to anybody. And thirdly, know where to refer for specialist support. The Domestic and Sexual Abuse Helpline is here for males, 24/7, providing anonymous and confidential advice and support and guidance through a team of highly trained and dedicated call handlers. And it is a free phone number, 365 days per year. I would like to take this opportunity just again to thank the organisers of today's event and thank me for speaking on behalf of the DSA Helpline, and thank you all for taking your time to listen.